Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Today I'm going to answer a viewer's request on how to remove the pinion gear in a Mitchell 306. Now, I've done a detailed service on a Mitchell 306, and you can search my library if you want to see the total rebuild. But quite honestly, what I have to do in order to take that pinion gear out is pretty much the total service anyway. So stay tuned and you'll see how that works. So you need to remove the upper body to get to that pinion gear. And to do that, you start with a removal of the axle shaft and spool. To do that, there's a single spool on the bottom here. You just remove the case. That screw comes out easy enough. And once that screw is out, you'll see that we have a parts tray that I'm going to put my pieces in. And if you look at the dynamics of the reel underneath, it's a pretty straightforward setup. It's almost like a big Mitchell 300. You're going to remove the set pin. It's got two prongs on it. Good place to tell you if you want to learn about fishing reels, if you want to work on fishing reels, well, one of the best things to do is take pictures along the way. That way, when you go to reassemble the reel, well, if you had forgotten a step along the way, if you forgot maybe where a piece went, or you're having a little bit of a question about the orientation of the part, well, go back to your pictures. So like when you open up the case right there, that's a good place to do it. All right, well, we took that little clip off. You noticed I put a glove on. I wasn't expecting a horrible amount of grease in this one, and this one's going to have to be cleaned. But again, we're going to try and get to that top end first. All right, so you can remove the pin. That lynch pin will enable you to remove the axle shaft. And as you can tell, this axle shaft needs to be cleaned. It's got a lot of old grease and tarnish on it. Tarnish is fine, old grease is not. I use a 4.0 steel wool most of the time just to clean it up and to make sure it's nice and correct, and then we can put that aside. I'm just going to take the block out, and all of these parts for a service would be cleaned, of course. All right, then we have a carrier here. I'm going to take that out as well. And then underneath the carrier, you'll see the planetary gear. We have the angled piece. We have the gear that floats inside that's off-centered, so that's going to run in a up and down motion for your crosswind block. And then we have that little pin that is the crosswind block, and you don't want to lose that. So it's a good thing to get that out of the way while you can. And hopefully we'll just be able to pull up on this and pull the whole piece out. That goes into my tray as well. This is the bottom of the pinion gear then. And to access that, you need to remove the top end. Now, this has got a coin slot in it. Sometimes you can grab it with a screwdriver. Sometimes you're going to need that coin. But just grab it in that slot, and that'll enable you to turn this off. That'll enable you to take that collar out, and that collar is going to let you remove the rotor. All of those pieces, again, are going into the parts tray. Well, you're going to notice that there's a set pin in here. And next up is to kind of just push off the rotor, pull off the rotor, and I didn't want to lose the keyway. This has got the keyway to it right there, and that keyway has got to come out. If you don't get it out, it's going to fall out. And if it falls out, well, you're going to be in trouble there. Okay, so the next question up then was, well, how does this pinion gear come out? There's a small screw here which holds the ramp and sits in behind this little feature. That screw has to be removed first. So I'm going to take the screw, and that's why a parts tray is so helpful. That parts tray has all of those pieces in it, especially the small ones here. They tend to get in the way. Okay, that comes out, and now we have this little forked ramp which is acting as a pin to hold the gear in, so that's got to come out next. Be careful with them. This pin just pulls out. Okay, once you've pulled that pin right here, this whole unit will come out. Now, whether it comes out easy or not, or in Steve's case it's coming out pretty difficult, we'll just show you how it comes out. We'll see if we have that same struggle, and we'll see what we can do to help you along here. So the first thing you want to do is, that's a tight fit, it's a bushing. So kind of lather it up with some penetrating oil. In this case I'm using a WD-40, and let it set for a moment. So while we have that moment, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. If you like seeing fishing reels repaired, if you like to see how they come apart, how they are serviced, and how they're put back together again, well, then this is the channel for you, and subscribing will let you see all of the fishing reels I'm working on, and that way you'll get a chance to see spinning reels, ocean reels, conventional reels, bait casting reels, all kinds of reels, and you'll be able to take a check and see which ones you want to watch, and see which ones you can learn from. So subscriptions are important to me, notifications are important to you. That's a win-win, so if you would kindly do that, I would appreciate it. Also, if you like Steve, you have a question on a particular fishing reel that I might be able to help you out with, please leave it in the comments section. I'll be happy to do that. Okay, we'll see if this one's going to cooperate or if this one's going to need a little extra help. Grab the pinion gear from below and push up. Well, this one happens to be working, aren't we lucky? This one kind of slides out, and this is the way that the unit comes out, just like that. There's a bushing on top of it. Notice in the bushing there's a hole in the bushing. That's where that little tie down is going to sit, so make sure you're aware of that. And again, take pictures along the way, because you got to know which side that little tie down goes on. Does it go on the top, or does it go on the bottom? Well, if you put it on the bottom and you go to align it, you're going to have trouble. So take the picture, it goes this way. For services and purposes, all you want to do on this one is just grease the pinion gear and reassemble. All right, let's talk about if it's a problem now. Let's put it in there. All right, it's a problem. We've opened it up. We squirted it down good with that penetrating oil. We're struggling, okay? First thing you want to do is you want to try using additional leverage, and the additional leverage comes in the form of the rotor. So go ahead and put the rotor back on without the tie downs in there. Put that clip back on. Tighten it down. And then use that as a handle or a big knob, and kind of just work it so that you can rock it back and forth. And eventually you'll pull the piece out like that. So that's a better grip if you're trying to work on it. And none of those are going to damage the threads or do anything to the assembly at all, so those I'll call safe procedures. All right, we're down to the stubborn one. Let's say you've just had a problem with that pinion gear. It's just being, well, stubborn. The last thing you can do is to get a dowel pin like this one. And what you do with that dowel pin is you can turn the assembly over, find a vise or something where you can get the collars so that you're clear of this. So let's just make that to be a vise, right? Let's just pretend you've got something on both sides here that's holding it free and clear, but you're holding the assembly. Take that dowel pin and rest it on the pinion gear like that. I take the dowel pin, rest it on the pinion gear, and wood is softer than metal, so it shouldn't be bending or damaging that gear at all. And then get a little tap hammer and tap. Don't go wrapping around, just tap it. And there you go, you're going to pull it out. So I'm not going to tell you that they're all as easy as this one. This one surprised me how easy it was. But that's how you do it. So the first one is you just make sure that you are overly lubricated. Sometimes this inner channel here, sometimes this inner channel is going to get a little bit corroded. It's an aluminum housing, and it's, you know, it can get corroded there. So do it there. When you have that pinion gear in, I showed you soaking it from the top. Don't be afraid to go in from the bottom with penetrating oil either. You can just load it up in there, because that's going to get the other side of the channel. And anything you can do for an assist is going to be great. So go ahead and lube it up. If you can't pull it out with your fingers, go to the extra assist with the knob by putting the rotor on, tying it down without the tie down. It's going to hold it into the case. Tie it down that way, yank it out this way, and you'll be able to pull it out with the piece installed. And then finally, if you do need that assist, don't get aggressive. Don't start banging around. Metal on metal is always horrible. Try a dowel pin. Where did I get this dowel pin? This dowel pin is actually the bottom of one of those little sponge brushes, the artist sponge brushes. So you don't have to go crazy. Find an artist sponge brush or something else that's a dowel peg. And again, just gently line it up and just gently tap. Don't go banging around. If you're banging around, you risk breaking the teeth or marring the teeth on the bottom of the pinion gear. Then you got to go get another pinion gear. So that's how it is, and I hope that that's helped a little bit. I'm going to go on and finish the cleaning of this reel. There's not much to it after this. I'll just show you the one more piece, and then it's really assembly. You just take the main gear out. When you take the main gear out, make sure that your anti-reverse is switched to the off position. You can just push your main gear through. You can do it with the handle for a bit, or you can just use a screwdriver. Just again, don't be aggressive. And then the assembly of this one is just going to involve, we're going to clean up all the inside of this case of the old grease. We'll get the old grease off the back of this, and we're going to just put it back together again. For those of you that are watching this in the hopes of understanding how that anti-reverse dog sits, well, this will be a complete learning experience then. That anti-reverse dog sits like this. It goes on the case. There's a stud it's sitting on right here. Well, we got all grease, so we're going to take that out. You have a main spring that rides underneath it and sits on the lip on the inside of this case. So the dog has point down, sitting on a stud. That's where the hole is. Beak goes to the main gear, and you have a long spring that goes out like that. And I'm going to have to remove that to clean this reel, but I thought I would show that to you before I did anything. So that's your assembly, and that's how the anti-reverse works. Okay, that's where I'm going to stop this. Again, I pretty much explained how to service the whole reel, but if you want to see it, there is another video on that. This one was for Steve to talk about how to get that pinion gear out, and I hope that helps. So to everybody who's helping to keep us safe during the pandemic, during this most recent surge in Omicron, thank you. Thank you to the first responders, essential personnel, everybody in the medical fields, uniform services, and so on. Really do appreciate everything it is that you're doing to keep us safe. As a postscript, here's that reel all rebuilt now. Everything's been cleaned and greased, and this guy's ready to go fishing again. So that's it. That's how you take apart the 306 so that you can remove the pinion gear for servicing. I showed you all the other parts, how they came apart, how they go back together was left off. Again, there's a full service video if you're interested in my library. And we're going to close this reel up. We're going to close this video out. So to everybody, again, stay safe, stay well, and stay watching. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.